A lot of us are wondering how digital innovations is changing the world of fashion and tailoring. How to dress well in the virtual meeting world that we live in today. Is the business suit still relevant? And what is it like to be a digital tailor? Hi everyone, my name is Tony Tan. I'm the host of the Tony Tan Show and podcast. To answer these questions, let us now invite our guests, Kenneth and Lyn of the Gentleman's Tale, who will share with us powerful knowledge to optimize our fashion wear. So let's welcome them together. Hi Kenneth and Lyn, welcome to the Tony Tan Show.
Thank you for having us.
It is an honor to be in your show, Tony.
We're very excited to have the both of you today for many reasons, right? The first thing is it's our first podcast that we are doing out of our studio. And number two is that it's the first podcast that we're doing a three-way podcast, and we have both a male and a female component in our podcast. Really exciting. So, Kenneth as well as Lyn, right? You guys has been so well featured over the last couple of years. I think, at least to me, you guys are the most media focused tailor in Singapore today. You've been featured on Mothership. Yeah, Channel News Asia as well as Jenna Zhao Bao, among many other media publications.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it comes down to the fact that you guys are very forward-looking, and also the fact that you have a very unique technology that you are bringing into the world of tailoring.
Yep.
And that is your one and only tailoring van that's equipped with some of the latest technology inside there. Wow. So can maybe both of you share with me what was your journey like? What made you make that decision to move from a traditional tailor into a mobile tailor fitted with the latest technology in it?
Ladies first.
So right at the start of the business, we were already not traditional in a sense. Like, we didn't have a brick and mortar shop. We started as mobile tailors, and when I say mobile tailors at the beginning, we did mobile tailoring through public transport. Like, we took the bus, the MRT. Sometimes when we're a little bit late or finances permit, we take the cab. And we kind of grew the business from there. So we saved up, and then we put deposit for our first van, which is actually a Citan. And we still continued mobile tailoring, and subsequently we got a container showroom, which was our brick and mortar shop. Then when it came down to the point of what's next, like how do we expand next, how do we reach out to the further crowd, the other people, the other population, then we thought, why not let's go back to our roots of mobile tailoring, but this time with a little bit of a twist, introducing technology into it, and having that mobile be a real mobile showroom where people can stand inside it. So maybe Kenneth want to share a little bit about what's inside.
So after the container showroom over at River Valley, but before we get the context right, so actually where we are now is actually our home. Reason being because our lease over at River Valley ended. So what we did was, since we are not so traditional, right, might as well we also think out of the box, and we decided to get a 3-room HDB flat, applied the license to work from home, and we got the license for the next 5 years. So, but talking about technology, which is I think the most interesting part of this podcast, right? So what we did was actually we bought a Sprinter bus, a minibus, right? Because minibus you can stand inside and things like that. What we did was to convert the whole back carriage into a fitting room. There's a fitting room, there's a sofa, there are fabric swatches to actually let you select the fabrics, and the measurement part is the magical part. So what it is actually inside the fitting room there are 4 pillars, and each pillar has actually 4 infrared scanners, meaning to say a total of 16 infrared scanners scanning your body to the precise measurement. So this technology is actually from Taiwan. It has an accuracy of 99.8%, meaning to say whatever the infrared scans, it actually picks up to the smallest detail of silhouette that you have. So from there, all the customer need to do, the process is like this. They come, we'll drive the minibus over to you. So instead of coming to the shop, we bring the shop to you. So going to you, they select the fabrics. Then it is Lyn and my job to actually assist them in terms of advising them. Then they stand into the fitting room. The moment inside the fitting room, there's an iPad. They just follow the instructions, and all they need to is to press what are the things that the iPad asks them to do. And when they press start, all it takes is 3 seconds for the infrared scanner to scan and get your full body measurement from head to toe.
Wow, let me ask you a question, Kenneth. If you don't use an infrared scanner, traditional measurements, how long will it take you?
It will probably take about 5 to 8 minutes. Yeah. So this is brilliant for actually masses, for example, our corporate clients. So what we do is that we ask them to just, all they need to do is to line up and just go next. And from there, we will take a look at the measurement. If we see something off, then it is still us as tailors to go there and see what is wrong. Why is the shoulder, by the look of your shoulder, is only 18 inch? Why is the measurement picking up 24 inch, for example? That's where we come in and correct it.
I see. So we're talking about a huge improvement of productivity here using this technology, right?
Yep.
But how about, is there an opportunity here that we can save materials, because you're talking about the measurements to such a small deviation, right? How does it work out in terms of materials for you guys?
So if we do not use the 3D scanner and we just take measurements by hand, usually we just order fabrics more than what we actually use, and that creates a whole lot of wastage.
Yes.
But with the 3D scanner, you get so precise measurements. You not only get the measurements, but you get the body shape and the body silhouette as well. And the measurements in terms of how much we order fabrics gets to be refined. So we save about maybe 10, 15, sometimes even 20% of the fabric. Yeah.
So basically what it does is that after the 3 seconds it scans, right? Okay, so Tony, I understand that some people and our audience right now are afraid that technology will take over the world. We will be jobless and things like that. But truth and fact of the matter is, we have first-hand of using this technology, and it doesn't kill my job. It doesn't take away Lyn's job. What this infrared scanner is actually doing is that it's aiding us, it's helping us. So it doesn't mean that if I buy 10 scanners means I sack 10 seamstress. No. So the 3D scanner scans the silhouette, like what I said, correct, after 3 seconds, right? So what it does to the cutter, I'm a trained cutter and drafter, so what it aids me, right, is actually to see, actually his silhouette has a hunchback. That's where a hunch is a certain degree. So actually, if I am able to see that certain degree, I don't need to order that 2 inch of additional fabric. So I just order 2 inch lesser so that it cuts nicely into their sway back, their chest, their biceps, or even their hunchback and things like that. So it actually aids me rather than taking over my job.
Well, I think it's really exciting because now we're talking about a new business model here, right? Bring the vehicle to the space itself to conduct your business. We're talking about productivity gains, we're talking about wastage reduction, and we're also talking about end user experience, right? When a person comes onto your bus, right? How fast they can get their measurement done, and you're giving them so much convenience. Now I see why you guys are so heavily featured in the media. I mean, I would like to know more. Maybe someday I could try out measurements in your van.
For sure, yeah.
And you are so technology forward, you are so innovative in your thinking. And I would like to seek your opinion, right? Because today, I think the world is going through a lot of changes, and technology is driving a lot of these changes. And the world of fashion and the world of tailoring is changing at a very, very fast rate. And some of these technologies is upending the way we look at fashion, the way we conduct tailoring moving forward. And one of the exciting technologies that we are talking about is along blockchain, right? So, blockchain is a kind of type of technology. It's like a ledger where we keep all your records, and the facts of the records is immutable. How do you think technologies like that gets into play in the world of tailoring and the world of fashion?
So, I think as a business, having ethical methods or having ethics is very important for us, and we want to know that the source of the fabric even from the part where it's being weaved, or even when the cotton is being picked, right? There's no form of like humanity, and then the conditions are humanity, and then it's clean and it's suitable for people, and we're not exploiting people. All the way to the part where it actually gets to the factory or it gets to us. And with blockchain, you are able to track, you're able to know, you're able to really find out where the source of your fabric comes from. You're able to kind of, if you want, decide, visit that weaving mill to see how the conditions are. So it's trackable all the way, and you know that what you're getting is really what was being promised to you.
Nothing dodgy.
Yeah, and then the other side of it is that as an end user, people these days like stories. People these days want to get a little bit more personal, and then they also want to build a connection with what they have, the items that they have. So as an end user, you could scan, right, and then you could find out snippets about where your fabric comes from, the seamstress that actually sews your product, the people that actually will work behind the scenes to have you have the product that you're actually wearing right now. And that creates stories, and that creates an emotional link with you, your product, and the people that actually produce those products. So I feel that blockchain is something that I will look forward to. Yeah.
I think you pointed out something very important, Lyn, because today we know that child labor is a very big problem with fashion. Right?
Yep.
And we had this incident a couple of years ago where this unfortunate accident where the factory in Bangladesh, it collapsed, and we can see it comes to the world's attention of what sort of living conditions they are living underpaid, overworked. It's just horrific. So with blockchain, you are saying that we are able to then look at our supply chain and ensure that we take care of our downstream suppliers, right?
Yes, and I think with exploitation, it's going to happen because everybody want lower prices. So at the end of the day, it's the business themselves and the consumer themselves. You choose, right? You choose whether you want a product or you want a fabric that comes from ethical sources, comes from people being fair, equality, or if you're price sensitive, I don't know, you might swing both ways. But at the end of the day, it leaves people with a choice, and it also gives people knowledge and feedback of where your actual stuff comes from.
Yeah. And I like the fact that you pointed out that when I look at a fabric, right, I'm able to look at the whole chain of events that led to the creation of this fabric, and this gives me a deeper connection with the clothes that I'm wearing. Right, this fabulous. What about the area of counterfeiting? How do you think blockchain comes about that allow us to stamp out counterfeits?
So
Counterfeitings are everywhere.
Yes.
It's just that. So, for example, like what Lyn said just now, right? What we are working on right now, right? In fact, do you mind if I just take something to show the camera?
Sure.
So basically, right now, every of our fabrics has a QR code.
Right.
So at this point of time, taking picture of the QR code, right, is actually to know how much fabric is left over at the mills there.
Right.
But what we are trying to do is to actually maybe in future, whereby when they take a picture of the QR code, it is able to scan the mill. Then the authenticity of the fabric.
Right.
So like for example, that bale of fabric is printing out or is weaving, right?
Right.
So they are able to see that this weaving and this fabric swatch is the same. And that is somehow what we can do to eliminate certain level of counterfeiting.
Yes.
And yes, and we know that copying is everywhere. I mean,
right.
I wouldn't want to say any countries or what lah, but it's everywhere.
Right.
So but what it is that then it goes back to us again as business owners like yourself, Tony, that are we running an ethical business? Are we supporting not just ourselves but also the people down below us or the people above us? People above us meaning to say our clients lah, but people below us are like our staff, our seamstresses, our meal supplier, fabric suppliers and things like that. Are we doing justice to them? That is another different conversation. But having said that, what that QR code and which leads to maybe AR, VR, that kind of reality so close that you can see, the fabric is actually breathing now and things like that. I think that's one way to actually cut off counterfeiting.
Yeah.
To a certain level.
Because counterfeiting is such a big problem in the world today, right? And people are paying top dollars to get the best materials.
Yeah.
If we can buy the materials at confidence that this is what we are actually getting, I think that will really help, and I think blockchain would be a good opportunity for us to do that.
Yep.
Now, it's interesting you talk about AR, VR. I was actually coming to that, Kenneth. So, AR, VR is actually very, very big currently because of the pandemic as well. We are seeing a lot of fashion houses moving to this technology to give people a more personal experience.
Yep.
And also we are seeing fashion chains adopting this technology. How do you think this technology is playing out in your field in the world of fashion and tailoring?
It is slowly coming into Singapore.
Right.
Sorry to say, but Singapore is still a little bit backward in terms of AR, VR to tailors. I'm not saying to any other fields of work, but to tailors, it is a little bit slow. So we are actually, during the pandemic, we actually sat down and think through our business idea and business model. How are we going to continue moving forward? Like what Lyn says, we are move forward tailors. We keep on moving forward. That's why we think of ideas of the van and the bus and the container and now even the HDB 3-room. But we noticed something that what we are lacking of is actually e-commerce store, I would say, online presence. Online presence in terms of coverage, yes, we do have a little bit. Can Google us at A Gentleman's Tale, you can see all our articles. But in terms of a point of sale kind of area, AR, VR plays a part in an e-commerce store. For example, what we are actually exploring also is, for example, like when you come to me, and by the way, Tony, nice suit.
Thank you very much. I heard this was from Gentleman's Tale, if I'm not wrong.
Sound familiar, look familiar, yeah. So anyway, so based on you coming to my shop, for example, I will sit down and design with you this cuff, this collar, this lapel, this fabric, this lining, etc., and we sit down and design it. But the thing that we are playing around right now is that the e-commerce platform, they can, when they click on the different types of lapel, the AR or VR can actually come up with a mold and for you to see. Then you click on this fabric, you click on this cuff, you click on this lapel, you click on this button, all will put up into it. And maybe because you still cannot visualize, right, maybe we can actually take a photo in front of an iPad and superimpose yourself into the picture, and from there 3D, 4D, 5D or whatever, that when you turn it, you can, all the different senses are tinkling you. Like you can hear yourself, you can see yourself wearing that suit, you can hear the background music of for example, this suit is meant for a black tie event, so the black tie event music can come up from the background, that kind of thing, you know. So trying to tickle as much senses as you can, and that's what augmented reality is. That's what we are exploring lah.
Well, I think that's really exciting, because one of the key promise for AR and VR is try before you buy. Right,
Exactly.
because today we are seeing so much wastage from returns all over the world, especially in this e-commerce driven economy that we are in right now. That's a great opportunity for us, not just to cut wastage, but it's also an opportunity for us to create a better end user experience, customer experience. And I, for one, would like to try your new tech that's coming out, Kenneth. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, but yeah, so we need to work a bit harder lah to earn money. Money difficult to earn, and that's the reason why, like, what I love what you say, Tony, is like the think before you buy, you know, because money is very difficult to earn. Take a look at the pandemic right now, jobless people and things like that. So yeah, before buying a good suit, before you spend that hundreds of dollars to buy a shirt or a suit or a pants, think through. And what we are trying to do is that trying to let you experience it before you buy.
Yes. And it's not just AR and VR, which has so much applications and opportunities for tailoring and fashion, right? We are also very interested in the future of fashion wear, especially wearable tech. There's a lot of talk about this area, about how the profusion of sensors are now even coming to the world of tailoring and casual wear. What are your opinions about this, Lyn, maybe?
I would really like to see wearable tech come true or come across and really happen, because if I can think about so many possibilities, like for example, you have a visually disabled person or visually impaired person is wearing a shirt or a suit or something on them, right, that kind of senses when things are near them, and it actually either heats up or it has a buzzing feature, vibration, or even a sound emitted, so that they know that, hey, on my left I'm hitting an obstacle or wall, or there will be a slope or things like that. So it gives them a 3D sensation of actually walking rather than just relying on a cane or somebody. The other one that's closer to my heart is you know how autistic kids, right? Sometimes they are very overwhelmed by all the sound, the noise and the colors and everything, and then they actually have to stay indoors or be in their hug box, where it's a little confined area, and it presses against their body because it keeps them secure. So I really like to see the hug box transform into a shirt where they can wear it and they get that same kind of safety, that same kind of senses evoked in them, and then it allows parents to bring them out. It allows the kids, right, to have a whole different experience. It just opens up a lot of possibilities and a lot of doors, and then, you know, they get offered the same kind of opportunities that other kids would also, rather than always being at home and parents being fearful when I bring my kids out. Are they going to have a panic attack, anxiety attack? What's going to happen? I would really want to see wearable tech like moving towards that, like having people's life be a whole lot easier through technology.
Because it's wearable tech is also slowly coming to Singapore.
Right.
In terms of, for example, you have your, I think if I'm not wrong, it's Nike, have your tie yourself shoelace, you press a button or something, it ties the shoe itself. So yeah, in terms of tailoring, I think if this opportunity comes to Lyn and myself, we are more than happy to challenge ourselves. You never know. There could be an air-conditioned jacket in the future. It could be a heating jacket for the colder countries in future. So like what Lyn says, the for the autistic kid, right? Maybe we can put some sponge inside there, whereby if they feel the heart rate that is about to the autistic kid is about to get a panic attack, then the sensor will trigger something, and the suit will actually balloon up to give that very tight the hug feeling to make them feel safe and secure. Then on top of that, we can also, because you know our weights fluctuate based on the diet, based on your exercise, you know, and if there's a wearable type of it auto adjusted to your silhouette of a body, I mean that means you buy one jacket and it looks good forever. You get what I mean? I mean in terms until wear and tear.
I'm not sure that's good for your business, Kenneth.
End of the day, money is everywhere to be earned lah. You don't chase for money. I mean, to me, what is your purpose in life? Then I realized over the years of being an entrepreneur that money is not important. I mean, it's important to a sense where money is supposed to be a driver for you, right?
Yes.
But my purpose, and the realization come to me like last year or 2 years ago, that my purpose in life, one, is to educate people. My second purpose in life is to actually do good. I mean, like, do good in a sense of, like, if you ask me, the $100 that I earn make me happy. But if the $100 that I earn and I give it to someone like the tissue auntie lady, I'll feel even better than the $100 that I earn.
That's a meaningful life.
Yeah.
So what we are talking about, kind of, is that wearable tech, in your opinion, and of course Lyn, has a lot of use cases. It's not just about, of course we talk about medical, we also talk about disability, especially we also talk about the silver population that's going to be a big thing,
which
a
is
major
the
trend, right? And this can help people. It's not just about something that looks good or something that is sexy just for the sake of sexy, right? It does have real world applications, and we're really excited about that, because at the end of the day, tech is here to augment humanity.
Correct. You got on point.
Yeah. So we're hearing all this from the laser or the 3D laser van that we're talking about, that we have built, to how we use blockchain and how we evolve with virtual reality and as well as augmented reality. And then we talk a little bit about how the future of wearable tech looks like in some of these use cases, right? So the other thing that I'm really very excited to find out about today, one of the main reasons for this podcast is the pandemic. This is the new norm, right? And I think that the pandemic, in my opinion, is going to come more and faster. You know, so it has changed the way we dressed,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because it's not just because of the pandemic of remote work, but it's also because of virtual meetings. And I'm very keen to seek your opinion about two things. First, the relevance of formal wear today. Is it still going to be the same post-COVID? And also, how to dress well and impress in virtual meetings today. So I would like to hear from a woman's and a man's perspective, because our audience, of course, span across both sexes. Maybe Lyn, could you share with us for women today, right? What are your thoughts about their business wear? Would it be impacted because of the pandemic?
So if we continue the current work trend, which is a lot of working from home, doing virtual meetings, Zoom calls and things like that, then yes, there will be a certain impact. But if we go back to the norm, then I think the impact will be slightly different. Whichever way is, I think dressing wise would head towards being smart and comfortable. A lot of people think that workwear needs to be a very somber color, like you do your black, grays, blues being navy, not the electric blues. But I think with the pandemic that has happened, people are now kind of looking for happy moments, happy thoughts, and colors really bring that out, right? So
Oh man, I
So-
think I'm in the wrong color today. Yeah, just flip it over.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Add a bit of colours
Yeah,
to your life.
I have some colors.
So even when let's just talk about virtual meetings first, right? So virtual meetings, it's really refreshing when you're talking to somebody in a bright color or in prints and things like that, which is why I intentionally wore a orange dress today. It just brightens up the whole atmosphere, it brightens up the whole conversation, and then it's also very refreshing for the eyes. Now if we talk about face-to-face meeting, so maybe post-COVID, the face-to-face events, meetings would definitely lessen. And when it lessen, right, when you walk out, you also want to see colors, you want to see people dressed differently, you want to see something different from the norm, but yet smart and yet comfortable for them. So I feel that colors are coming back, or colors should at least come back, right? Just to kind of cheer things up, make things a whole lot happier. And also dresses, like when you are wearing an outfit in front of Zoom, you also want to be very mindful that it's tailored or it's fit well, because when you sit down, your shoulders kind of bulge a little bit, your position is different, and you want to make sure that your shoulders fit, your areas fit, and there's no creases or there's no tight tugging lines as well. So couple of these things that I think we are heading towards, not just because of COVID, but I think in the way how world is coming about, because with technology getting on, maybe virtual meetings would be a norm.
Yep.
Yeah.
So speaking about virtual meeting, right? She said something about comfortable. She said something about smart. But one thing to add on is also looking sharp. You don't want to be uncapped. You don't want to wear a singlet to a work meeting. Not even wearing a t-shirt for a work meeting. Colors, yes. So back in the days, right? Why we wear jackets, right? Is also because it's a form of respect to someone that invited you for an event, or even for basically to respect the host. So if let's say your boss is the host of the Zoom meeting, you should actually take a respect of actually wearing a jacket or at least a shirt, for meetings lah. But or the next in thing is actually something what I'm wearing is called a jacket. It's a shirt fused with a jacket. It looks like a shirt, but it's not a jacket. So look something more presentable and sharp is the word. So like what Lyn says, the thing about the bulging on the shoulders, right? That's also the one of the reason of why you look sharp or not sharp. So a bit of a fashion tips, I just sway a bit. So in terms of looking sharp, right, the most important thing is that the shoulder lines, your shoulder suit or shirt or t-shirt actually ends at the end of the shoulder where there's a bone there. So that is supposed to where your shirt should end. Anything too short makes you look scrawny. Anything too low makes you look oversized. I also understand that now the streetwear in thing is the oversized shirt where it's unto the elbow and the line is actually here. If intentionally is fine, but don't wear that for meeting. Yeah, because I also do streetwears.
I understand.
So that is the fashion side. But having said that, it's about looking sharp. And to your first question, what is post-COVID, or maybe will suits be totally of no use. As a fashion tailor, I will be quite sad if the suit is gone. But having said that, I'm very sure it will not.
Yeah.
Why? Suit dates back all the way back to the 19th century. That's the first suit that came out, the early 19th centuries. And it moved far back, your sartorial, all the rules of how to dress well and things like that. It actually dates back even further to the 17th century. But having said that, right, if let's talk about early 19th centuries, right? Suits have the lounge suit that we are wearing now, like what you are wearing now, looking good again, I must say, is it started then in the early 19th century, but it survived through the Spanish flu, it survived through cholera, it survived through SARS, and I'm very sure it also will survive through this COVID-19.
Good point, Kenneth. Very good
And
point.
having said that, wearing a suit is not just about respecting the host. It also seriously gives you the confidence when you wear that suit. It's something like Lyn's story of the autistic kid of hugging you and making you feel safe. But it's like I remember, Tony, you said this something is a suit is the modern
men's armor.
Modern men's armor, and you're right, absolutely right. And that's the reason why also nowadays we have been seeing females coming to us to make suits as well.
That's a great point. Yeah, that's one of the things that I want to just find out. Actually, this question I want to ask both of you. Is there still a role for business suits for women?
Definitely. Yeah. So I think so this coming from a female point of view, right? Okay. So I think a lot of females, when they first come to me, they have in mind the power women suit.
Power suit, they call it.
Yeah. Where it's pretty stuffy and there's no design element to it, and it usually comes in very somber colors.
Especially black for the females.
Yes, but the suits kind of move through occasions as well. So the suits currently that we are looking at is you could do a same well-tailored suit, but you choose interesting fabrics, or you could tweak the design of a jacket a little bit more. So for example, there is this jacket here, right? Okay.
Wow,
so
look at the riot of colors.
If you look at it, it's very much a tailored jacket, but
Right.
the fabric that is chosen is a cotton canvas, and the print of it really pops out. And if you put this over a bright dress like what I'm wearing, you're gonna dominate that whole Zoom conversation.
Yes, for sure.
But if you pair it with a black dress, it actually adds different kind of elements to it. It adds interesting details. The other thing is also the cut of it. So normally jackets are either straight or V, but this is actually a curvature. So you can see like the front is curved down and then the back kind of curved up. So this accentuates a woman's figure because elongating the front you have a smaller, sharper waist, and then not hugging the hips doesn't accentuate your hips that much. So it's things like these that you look for when you're doing a jacket. And yes, suits are still in, like jackets are still in. Maybe not the power woman suit that we used to know of, where there's the big oversized shoulder pads, unless that's the look you're going for. But things like that.
Hey, what sort of materials are we talking about today that's that you will recommend for Zoom meetings that you can work comfortably at home? Is there a preference for materials here?
All materials are comfortable, right? It's very much the fit of it. So that's a cotton canvas, so it's a little bit rougher, it's a little bit stiffer, but that's what I want. If there's something like you want a soft flowy material, then you could choose things like wool. Wool is softer. You could choose an unlined jacket. You could do linen. Linen, the beauty of it is the crease. People always go, but linen crease all the time. But the beauty of linen is actually the crease because it's very natural. So saying that, I would still advocate natural fabrics, like your silk fabrics, your cotton fabrics, your wool fabrics. Personal preference. Yeah.
So I get your point, Lyn. I think today the suit is very much alive, especially for women.
Yeah.
It's just that we need to expand our mind and think of all the interesting possibilities to make us pop.
Yes.
Whether it's in the Zoom meeting or in the corporate meeting, we can redefine the business suit as well,
Yes.
right? It's not, there's no one cut fits all, and it will give us a more interesting element, a more interesting representation in the boardroom as well.
Yeah.
So from boardroom to Zoom meetings, the suit is alive in the
Yes.
woman's world.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really interesting, Lyn. And I would like to switch a little bit back to Kenneth now, right? And I want to ask him about what is thoughts about men wear? What about men fashion wear and men's business wear in these pandemic times and this world of virtual meetings? What does it take to dress well for men?
Lyn put up a very good point in terms of not just for the female, also for the guys. The occasion.
Right.
Meeting with a boss, you don't wear singlet.
Right.
You don't wear t-shirt, right? So, like what I said to you before, that the reason for people wearing a jacket is actually to respect the host that invites you. And on top of that, right, wearing a jacket, even just for a Zoom call with your boss, right, it's actually something to cover yourself. For example, if you intend to wear a t-shirt, or in Zoom call you forget to iron your shirt, all you need to do is to wear a t-shirt and a jacket, and I think that is appropriate and good enough for a Zoom meeting.
Alright.
So like for example, what I'm wearing is a jacket, whereby it's a shirt and a jacket fused together, and I'm wearing a t-shirt inside, and I'm having this podcast to you. Same as you, Tony. You are wearing a very nice suit, I must say again.
Thank you.
I keep on saying he's wearing a nice suit, and you are wearing a t-shirt inside. Your t-shirt, your Tony Tan t-shirt, right? So this is good enough for the camera, good enough for Zoom, and really respects the host to a different level of wearing that armor.
Right.
Yep. Then in terms of post-pandemic, some people are now stressed that, oh no, now that we have so many Zoom calls, will the future change to like won't be wearing suits anymore? Suits will be of no use in the future. People will be wearing like Tony Stark space suit, that kind of thing. I am very confident that suit is here to stay.
Well, even Tony Stark wears suits.
Exactly, when he's not wearing his Iron Man thing, right?
Yep.
So but I will say that suits are here to stay. Why? Dates back to the very first lounge suit that was made, which is in the 19th century. A bit of history. So even before the 19th century, right, where the sartorial talks and the sartorial, I would say, rules that was came about, put at that point of time, is still using now. It actually dates even further to the 17th century. And it started with this person called King Charles II or something like that. I need to recall my memory. But having said that, so the first lounge suit means that what we are wearing now started in the 19th century. It survived through cholera, it survived through Spanish flu, it survived through SARS, and I'm very sure it's here to stay to survive through the pandemic. And not only that, it is actually wearing confidence, I would say. When you wear a suit, it gives you that confidence that it's undescribable, that power suit. And also backtrack a bit, and that's the reason why we are getting more and more female clients now. They want the power suit. We have more and more female empowerment, when they go up on stage to speak about breast cancer, about things like that. We have females like them coming to us to make a suit. If females make suit, guys, please own a nice tailored suit.
Yeah, and I also have to say that a guy in a well-tailored suit naturally has that different level of confidence, and it makes the female's heart flutter a little bit more, like when you see them. So that's a female point of view, right? In a guy that is wearing a well-tailored suit.
Kenneth, we need to have a talk after this.
That's why.
Yeah. So the other question that I always wanted to ask is, there a difference between straight cut suits and double-breasted suits, right? Single-breasted and double-breasted suits. Because we are seeing a interesting trend of double-breasted suits coming into our consciousness lately. So do share with us the history of these two types of suits, and why is double-breasted suits making a comeback?
Okay, so in order to know why are double-breasted suits coming back, first we need to know history. Why I keep on saying history? I think I'm a history student, that's why. And I think it's my job as a fashion consultant, as a tailor, that I need you to understand where this is coming from. Back to blockchain, that kind of thing. But having said that, I won't go back to blockchain, because blockchain is something like history or how it comes from. But what we are talking about right now is actually the difference between a normal suit, which is a lounge suit that you are wearing, and a double-breasted. So lounge suit, as I said, started in the 19th century, whereas double-breasted suit, funnily enough, it started off as a formal suit. It started off in the naval the
naval
Navy,
tradition.
yes,
Right.
whereby ceremonies
Right.
they want to make them look sharp,
Right.
right? So in order to make them look sharp, what they did was to overlap the jacket so
Right.
that they can see the perfect silhouette of their
Wow.
body.
Okay.
And that's where they go on parade and ceremonial. And
Right.
until date, the traditional naval officers do wear double-breasted suit.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So why is it making a comeback, right? It's one, silhouette is for sure. People understand that. Okay, so right now, the current era that we are in right now, it is actually who moves. Fashion is who moves it.
Right.
And right now, the Korean are moving it with the double-breasted suit, unbuttoning, giving them an oversized shape, an oversized look. An oversized look is always for casual.
Right.
Remember, like what I said, the streetwear, the oversized shoulder,
Right.
oversized shirt, it's a streetwear.
Right.
They are actually fusing suits to a streetwear.
Right.
And that's the reason why fashion is moving that way, because you and through media, like, you know, like your K-pop stars, your Korean dramas, there are more exposures around them.
Right.
And that's why people say, hey, actually can be like this. Then that's where they move forward. So if one day I wear a singlet and earrings,
Yeah.
as a guy, for example, a chain earring and a singlet, walking out with high heels, and people and the media keep on showing that I'm wearing heels, singlet, and a long earring. If I move that fashion forward and there is followers saying, hey, actually Kenneth wear this, look nice, there will be a following. So fashion is a trend, which whoever starts first. So right now, the double-breasted is actually started by the Koreans, whereas lounge suit is still our suit, you know, like for business. You don't wear a lounge suit for meetings, I mean important meetings, because meetings are not so formal, you see. Formal things are like your black tie event, your white tie event, that kind of thing. But having said that, white tie event is where where the UK, the Londoners wear the dress suit, which is the long one.
A trench suit.
Yeah, they call it dress.
Okay.
Funnily enough, like the female dress, DRESS, dress suit. So these are things where fashion move forward. But having said that, what's the difference between single and double? Single is your everyday wear, and double is more formal. But having said that, fashion trends is whoever move fashion first. Yeah.
So we can have double-breasted for casual, double-breasted for formal, and then we have your lounge or single-breasted for formal
Everyday
occasions.
occasion.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's how we mix and match, and back to what Lyn said, right?
Exactly.
The cut, the fabric, and I mean, it's open to your imagination. There's no like one size fit all.
Yes.
And I guess a well-dressed person will probably have a combination of all, right? To give them the greatest flexibility and greatest different type of looks and different type of feel.
Correct. And if you don't know how to mix and match, right, that's where our job comes in as fashion consultants, as fashion movers, right? Moving forward, right? So we are moving forward. We are not just tailors. We are also consultants to many of our friends, many of our clients, that how to dress well. So back to where I say that money is difficult to earn.
Right.
That is where we teach them, or I won't say teach, I teach a very strong, educate and share with them that the suit that you buy need not necessarily be worn as a suit. The jacket you can match with chinos, the pants you can wear with a shirt or a t-shirt and an oversized t-shirt. So that's how you mix and match. And that's where you make your
Money's
$600
worth.
suit, your $800 suit well spent. I always tell people, to rent a good suit costs about $150 to $200. My suit costs $600, for example. If you are able to find 4 occasions to wear your suit, you actually cover the cost already. Yeah, and that's where the $400 is not just wearing it as a suit, mix and match. And that's where the Koreans are brilliant with that. Like what you said, the double-breasted are coming in and they match with chinos, pants. Some even match with jeans and things like that.
It's really interesting, right? I mean, the world of fashion, the world of tailoring, there's so much possibilities out there. And thanks Lyn, and thanks Kenneth for sharing your insights. I think our audience will really have benefited from some of your sharing here, right? But now I want to switch gear a little bit, and I wanted to find out a little bit more about both of you, your story, right? You are very successful entrepreneurs in your own rights, especially in the world of tailoring. You're making a lot of presence. What was your story like in starting up the Gentleman's Tale? Could you share with us some of the highlights and lowlights? Maybe we start with the highlights first.
Highlights. The very first highlight was when we bought our first van, the Citan. After being on public transport for a while, and then not having a space to work in, that was our first milestone, and that was a real highlight for us because one, we had a little space to work in because we converted the back to not only store our fabrics, but we had an area where we could plug in our laptops, work on the way, and not just have to rely on like cafes or workstations where we have to go to. So that was a real highlight. And it was also a fun highlight because, hey, you know, we wanted to be mobile tailors and we kept to it, and then we met it, and that was really the first highlight for at least for me lah, you know. Yeah.
Us lah, same.
Yeah. Then the next highlight would definitely be not having to keep watching the bank account. Yeah. Like when we know that, hey, you know, so every entrepreneur, you would always have your war chest or you always have your reserves, and you really don't want to touch your reserves, right? You want to kind of build your everyday finances such that it's able to cover your fixed and variable costs. So and we were always constantly watching that amount, like, we're going to touch our reserve, and how much of the reserve we're going to touch. Are we going to make enough sales to cover our overheads for that month? And we intentionally kept overheads very low as well. So the next highlight came was when we got the corporate project, right? And corporate projects are with that corporate project, we knew that we could cover the fixed and variable costs for a couple of months, and we didn't have to keep worrying about touching into our reserve or our war chest. And I think that was another milestone, and to me that was a highlight as well. Yeah, so I'm just going down kind of like in chronological order from the start of the business to now.
You should share with them about the Pan Pacific. That was one of the top, I think, in our list.
So we were invited by a choreographer and a stylist choreographer to participate in Pan Pacific bridal show. And at that point in time, we were very new in the market. And we did participate, but the defining moment for us was usually bridal shows, the brides open the show.
Define what, maybe you want to share with us what you share with the audience, like what is
brides open the show.
Bride opens the show.
So usually the first look that comes down the runway when the lights and the smoke all clears, it's always a female in a wedding gown, and that's a very traditional wedding show. But for that wedding show, the first person that walked out was a groom, which is a groom in our outfit, and that really sent tingles up our spine, because even when I'm talking right now, like I've got the goose pimples, because that memory really stuck. Like it affirms that, hey, you know, we are on the right path. We're not just providing well-tailored suit, but we were fashion forward enough, or we could add a little bit of a twist, right? That we are opening a bridal show with menswear rather than a bridal show with female wear. So
we made history.
So that was highlight for me.
Because when the first two outfits that came out instead of a bride is a groom, right? The choreographer, who was actually well known, Mr. Danny, thank you, he turned to us and said that, hey, alamak, the show changed lah. Then he thought it was something wrong, but it was actually the director of the whole show said that, wow, your outfits are so nice, let's switch it around. And the moment we saw, we also then Danny told us that you made history. So far out of the choreographs that he have done, it has always been female. And right now, for a groom to open the show, it sets a whole new different dimension to other choreographers around the world.
Yeah. And funny enough, right, when we were talking about single-breasted and double-breasted, so we actually did both for the show. We wanted to show that, hey, you know, you could have a traditional suit with a twist, and you could also have a double-breasted for a wedding. So yes, for that wedding show, we did tuxedo. We did our take on a tuxedo. We did our take on a normal suit, and then we did our take on a double-breasted as well. So yeah, so it really shows, right? It's like what you have tailored, your suits can really bring you to all kinds of occasion. It's very much of how you mix and match it. And most importantly, it's always well tailored and well fitted to your body shape.
So from that highlight of one of our top highlights in our career, right, it actually opens our mind itself to be more receptive of mix and match. That's where we learn.
Congratulations, Lyn and Kenneth. Well done. I'm very proud of your achievements. Now, of course, in every journey of an entrepreneur, we look forward to these highs, and sometimes these highs is not something that you can define with monetary gains, right? It is something that we live through with a smile for the rest of our lives. But there's always a flip side to entrepreneurship, right? It's not every day. It's not a bed of roses every day, and there are times where things can get really tough, and sometimes it can be very dark. Was there some moments in your entrepreneur journey that you hit a low point? And I would like to hear your story.
So many people think of us that we are very positive people.
Right.
Perhaps maybe when we met each other, we were at our low point.
Right.
Yeah. And from the low point, we started working together. And maybe I'll share a bit more background about us, then you understand our low point. Then throughout, there were many series of low points. People always think that, wow, be entrepreneur, damn good, sit in your CEO chair, tell people to do things, you create your own free time. Honestly, if I can say this, or you have to censor it, it's bullshit. Right? If just censor it if I cannot say bullshit. I used to be a regular in the Air Force. I was a trainer teaching new NS people about how to use the weapons of the Air Force. During that time, there was an opportunity that came. I left the force to actually pursue my passion, which is fashion. First business came up, didn't do so well, and at that point of time, I was going through a divorce because of monetary issues. So it hit the lowest, and my marriage was actually not approved by my parents or my mom to say. So I was not in good terms with, not in talking terms with my mom and my brother. My dad have left us when I was like 7 years old, but that was a different conversation. So that was the lowest point of my life of leaving the Air Force. You burn yourself with money, there's no money, and you are chased out of your own house by the ex-wife, and not you cannot let your ego down to go and say sorry to your mom and things like that. So that was my lowest point, and someone recommended me to go through to a course, like a self-development course. And through that course, I went to actually rekindle with my mom and let down my ego and apologize to her, and that's where I moved back. That is where I met Lyn, because Lyn was the course after me, so I'm her senior. I always say this, I'm a senior in the course.
And I always roll my eyes.
She was also going through a difficult time of her life. She was going through her divorce as well.
Right.
She was she was in high fashion previously, a top reputable brand in Paris, and she took sabbatical leave because she wanted to clear her mind, go through her soul searching, her self development, her self enrichment program, and she went to become a Pilates instructor. And
that's new. Okay.
Tony was like
every time I find out something new.
Yeah. So when we met together and we went for our breaks,
right.
I shared with her what I do, and she said that she always wanted to be back in fashion.
Right.
And they say, oh, you want to go back in fashion? Then she tell me her past fashion history. I say, oh, I'm a technical person, you're a fashion person, why don't we start this together? Right. And at that point of time, because she took sabbatical leave and I got burned with everything, basically everything, don't have money to start and anything. So what we did was mobile tailoring. How we started is mobile tailoring, right? Taking public transport, going around, carrying two luggage and one haversack, moving around Singapore, knocking on doors. Hi, I'm a tailor. If you need anything, let me know. So passing name cards like nobody business, and we slowly earn a bit of money, get the van, slowly earn a bit of money, get the container showroom, slowly earn a bit of money, get the bus, right? But the struggles are real. It's really real, because at one point of time I was like so engrossed in chasing success, wanting to prove to everybody that, hey, y'all want to look down at me, y'all think that mobile tailoring, laughing at me taking bus in public. What kind of tailor are you, man? Don't have a shop. Fabric suppliers don't want to work with us because I don't have a shop, and things like that. That's where I was so engrossed to chasing success that I totally forgotten about the whole process. And that's where argument starts. And that's where our disagreement starts. And that's where we are not aligned to the vision and mission of where we want to be in the future. So if you ask me where is the low point, right? Honestly, at that point of time, almost every month there's a low point. Because you're so much in chasing success, you try to pump in more money to the business, and you just spend anyhow so that you thought that you can buy success. And it's wrong. There was, I think, 3 years ago whereby we almost closed this shop. Reason being, our war chest is not strong enough. The reserve that we have are not strong enough, and we don't have that space to create new things whereby we are working every day in terms of waking up at 8 a.m. ending work at 3-4 a.m. because it's just the two of us, because we just want to do without any planning. Every month was tough. Seriously, every month was tough. I flare up easily, she cried easily, and we sat down and think that, why are we still doing this? I mean, like, we don't have time with our parents, we are quarreling every day, and like, no more meaningless to carry on in this business, because we totally forgot the vision and the mission of this whole business. And the other time that we thought that, hey, family time is really important, is when Lyn's dad had a mouth stroke. We sat down and think that we really did not have time to spend time, and our parents are getting old. How many more dinners we can eat together? How many more trips we can go out together? How many more birthdays we can celebrate together, right? It really changed us, and we made it a point that after 9 o'clock, we're gonna stop work. We're gonna go back and spend time with our parents. Every Sunday, we want to go back to my mom and play mahjong with her, because we were so engrossed about success, so engrossed about wanting more, that we neglected everything. And that, imagine that feeling. If you are feeling sour in your heart right now, we feel that same way every single day for the last 2 to 3 years. Yeah.
I think when we talk about low points, I think when we met each other and when we started this business, we were at the lowest point in our lives, right? And really, when you are at your lowest point, right, the only way is up. Because you can't get any lower already. Like, that's it already. So we really started from bottom, and then we kind of created and we planned the business to keep moving up. But like Kenneth said, along the process, we of course have our highlights, but we definitely face the struggles. Like he briefly mentioned, like so as mobile tailors, right, we needed to look for fabric suppliers in Singapore because we were not established enough to directly contact fabric suppliers overseas. We needed the middleman in Singapore, and there were fabric suppliers that said, "Oh, but you're very new. You don't even have a shop. There's no background. I can't supply you fabrics," right? So we got turned down, and we kept approaching fabric suppliers. So there were fabric suppliers that were very nice that gave us a chance, and then we were turned down by a whole lot more fabric suppliers. And then when it comes down to customers as well, we say we're mobile tailors, then they say, "Oh, okay, where's your shop?" I say, "We actually don't have a shop right now." "Huh? Can I trust you? Will you run away with my money?" There were a lot of people had the mindset that tailors had to be in a traditional setting, and I think that was our battle. Like, every time somebody tells us, "Oh, will you do a good job? Can I trust you? Will you run away with my money?" Then we're like, we're trying really hard to get there. We're trying really hard to get a physical space, but the doubt. So you constantly have to keep fighting through that. So for the people who have trusted us and who have been along this journey from the very start, thank you very, very much for giving us a chance.
We've been told nasty things by customers.
Yeah.
Like, mobile, we deal with traffics. You're half an hour late. What kind of businessman are you? Huh?
Yeah.
I don't think you will succeed in your business. You are 30 minutes late. How can you do this? And I got once, again, if you need to censor, you censor. Of my office. That kind of, it not just hits you, it hits the workmanship that you do, the craftsmanship that you do, that you insult my outfit just because I'm 30 minutes late. I mean, like,
Oh, that's brutal.
yeah.
But also because of all these low lights, and it got us down. It really got us down because, like what Kenneth mentioned, to prove all these people wrong, he just kept going and going and going, and he forgot about like the core values, the reason why we're doing this, why we started this with the kind of passion that we have, and the kind of business we wanted to build. And it really affected
Me.
It affected our relationship, affected Kenneth, it affected our time with family, our time with friends. So what we did was we actually took a step back. We sat down and we got realigned. We got realigned and we kind of remembered why we started this journey. And we chose to use every low light, right, as a lesson. We didn't want to dwell on it as a defeat or as somebody putting us down. It's more of, what can I learn from there? What lesson is the universe trying to tell me? What can I take the experience and change it to have it be different? So I think for us, that's when we started not focusing on the low light, but really looking at the highlights of our entire journey. Definitely there are sweat, there are tears, there are
Blood.
there's anger, and there are many nights that I go to sleep crying, and then there are mornings that I just don't want to get out of bed because it's just tough, right? Yeah, but
And I say blood is really blood, because you are so tired that you can't even cut properly. You cut your fingers. You see my fingers, how rough are they? Yeah, that kind of thing.
Wow.
yeah, but we chose not to dwell on the low lights. Just acknowledge that yes, there is something that has hit you, that you had failed at something, you somebody said something that was nasty or put you down. Just acknowledge that, but don't dwell on it. It's just constantly,
Just release it.
yeah, like just constantly moving.
And the more you dwell on it, that's where we said that we lost focus, and that's where everything was crumbling down.
Yeah. It is certainly that we look at entrepreneurs, we always put it on the pedestal. Wow, these guys is like, it's like glamorous. But oftentimes they don't see the other side of the picture, right?
Yep.
I mean, they don't see the impact on relationships, and I also can speak from personal experience on relationships, the impact on your emotional state, the impact on your health. So when we talk about relationships, it's not just with your partner, it's with those people that are closest with you, right? And sometimes it's really dark because there's not much people you can share with, right? And it takes a lot of resilience, in my opinion, through these dark times, and all of us will go through these dark times together. So if there's one question that I really want to ask the both of you, is that what would your advice be for people out there in our audience who wants to be an entrepreneur? What are some of your advice you'll give them to start their journey, to make their journey a little easier?
I got
Yes, please.
two.
Can I-
One, don't be a tailor. Two, don't be an entrepreneur. Okay, but jokes aside, remember I said that don't chase for success, because you will lose focus. So there is this mentor that told me before, don't chase for success, chase for excellence. The rest will follow. It is taken from this show called Three Idiots. Yeah. So if you all did not watch before, go and watch Three Idiots.
by the way, it's a Hindi movie.
Yes, it's a very good movie in terms of entrepreneurship, in terms of life lessons and things like that. So one key takeaway is Don't chase for success, chase for excellence. The rest will follow. Second thing I would say is that stamina. Because let's say if you have perseverance, you have determination, you have the will, the power to do it. If you don't have the stamina, you will not last. You don't have the stamina for perseverance, you will not persevere. You don't have the stamina for the willpower, you won't do. You won't chase for your excellence. So the second one is actually stamina. You need to have stamina if you really want to be an entrepreneur. Keep on moving, keep on fighting with a plan, of course, with a plan and a suit.
Of course, a suit. How can we miss that?
So
Lyn?
for me, there's three. So one is always clarity. Like, I think it's very important to have clarity in terms of where you want to go, what you want to get, and how you want to get there, because you can get there by different ways. And always be very clear. Like there are certain rules, right? Or there are certain ethics, or there are certain beliefs, there are certain core values that I have that I bring from my personal life to work, and that's, we created this business out of it. There are very clear pathways that we want to take. Now these pathways, right, can change, like the roads there can change, but the end result doesn't change. And the second thing was like what Kenneth mentioned, stamina. Don't just be able to sprint out of the block, right? But be able to finish that marathon, even though your leg is bleeding, you're having blisters, and you're dehydrated. Just keep on going. And then the third thing is having compassion. Like, I think for me, compassion is very, very important. And it's not just compassion for other people or the staff or your suppliers or your customers, but also having compassion for yourself. If you screwed up, right? Just acknowledge that you screwed up. Don't beat yourself up about it, but look at why you screwed up. Have it be a lesson, and then go on. And the other thing is also with customers. Sometimes customers come in with you don't know the kind of day that they had, right? And then they come in with a real bad, shitty mood. But instead of reacting to them, right, just maybe check in with them. Like, did you have a bad day? Would you want to do this a little bit later? Like, just having compassion for humankind, like, to me, this is very important for me, not just for work, but really for life itself. Like, having the clarity, the stamina to bring you on this entire journey of discovery, and then also having compassion.
And thank you so much for your valuable insights on sharing, your thoughts with our audience today. And I have this question for you as entrepreneurs. What do you think the role of communication? How important is communication to entrepreneurs today, especially in the virtual world that we are so immersed in?
Very important. So there's a different kinds of communication, right? There is the visual communication, there's the oral communication, and there's also communication by touch. But because virtual world, we're dealing with two, so the visual and the oral. So sometimes people say things and context is decisive. So there are certain words that you use to you is normal, but the receiver might not think that it is a positive word and they treat it as a negative word. So always be very clear in your communication. And also visual communication. If you see the other person kind of shifts their attention, or hey, they're a bit taken aback, reiterate what you were trying to say. Use words that are empowering. Use words that make a difference. Don't say something just for the sake of saying something. Say something that forwards a conversation or make a difference, whether it's to you or the other person. So
Same. I have the same feel. Communication is useless unless you can bring the conversation forward. So whether is it virtually or non-virtually, in person or not in person, or even just over the phone, even over through WhatsApp, be clear with your communication. Be clear that you want to bring this conversation, this problem, this solution forward, bringing things forward. So communication in fact is key of everyday life.
And visual communication. So I mentioned earlier about like pop pops of color, happy colors. That's also part of visual communication, right? So imagine you're on a virtual screen and then you kind of meet this person for the first time. You don't know who he or she is like, but then you see this cherry color that she's wearing or he's wearing, and then, you know, and immediately your mood lightens. You don't feel so stressed about it versus if you meet somebody in a somber outfit. So that's part of visual communication as well.
Oh, by the way, Lyn studies colors.
I see.
Yeah.
So I can tell she's very passionate.
She's a color specialist, correct?
Yeah.
So this brings me to the last questions for today's show and podcast. The question I want to ask both of you is this: is there one habit that you all stick to optimize your life every day?
Mindfulness. Practicing mindfulness for me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Lyn.
So,
And you practice this every day on a daily basis?
I practice mindfulness every day, right? So my personal habit is that every night at the end of the day, before I start watching my YouTube videos and playing my games on my my mobile phone, before my nightly routine, right? The start of my nightly routine would be I usually lie in bed and I just do a mental, I just do a mental gratitude. I would find 3 things that I'm grateful for today, and it can be very simple. It could be that I'm grateful that, you know, I can be at work now with Echo. I mean, how many people can say that they actually have the joy of bringing or having their pet with them at the entire workday? And I do. So I do a mental gratitude of 3 things at the end of every day, and then when I wake up in the morning, usually I will not psych myself, but kind of tell myself the kind of day I want it to be, right? So if I want today to be fun, if I want today to be imaginative, if I want today to be colorful, like things like that.
You set the tone of the day.
Yeah, so mindfulness is something that I do every day, every morning, every night. So I start the day with creating, right? And then I end the day with gratitude.
Wow, that's very powerful. And how about you, Kenneth?
To me, the habit that I try to do every day is to actually have time to rest. Rest is very important.
Yes, it's a form of recharge.
Yeah, so it could be like after doing something for 1-2 hours, you just rest through playing Candy Crush. You know, you need to constantly remind yourself to rest, because chasing for excellence is very tiring.
Yep.
You need to keep telling yourself, oh, I need to rest, I need to rest, I need to rest. That's what I keep reminding myself. So that way you won't get burnt out. And that it links back to why our staminas are slightly higher. Stamina is important. In order to have stamina, you must have rest. Your how you chiong is also important, but how you rest to chiong is very important. So rest.
Yep.
We can actually be on bed, not talking about work, not even talking. She do her reading, I play my own game. That is rest. Whereby nothing bogs you about work or anything. And if something really bogs you in terms of relationship, in terms of work, in terms of anything, talk. That's where clarity comes in. Sit down, talk, how to get this over done with, and how do we move forward. That's where communication comes in. So if you notice today's podcast that you come and interview us, we always revolve everything around to make it wholesome. Yeah. So whatever we speak, whatever we say, it really comes from our heart. That somehow it's not linked, but everything seems to link. Yeah. So the one habit is to remind yourself to rest.
Rest plus mindfulness, great habits to have. Everybody should have some of them. And thank you so much to the both of you. You guys are awesome, and you are so authentic by sharing your story with us. And I'm sure our audience will resonate with some of these facts and also get some of these valuable insights on how either they can dress better, or if they want to start a journey of entrepreneurship, what are the things they should look out for, and some of the habits to optimize their lives as well. So once again, on behalf of the show and our audience, thank you both, Lyn and Kenneth, for joining us today, and we will see the both of you soon.
Thank you for having us. It's a real privilege to share our journey.
And Tony, I've known you through the years, and I'm really very proud of you, of pursuing your dreams and goals. So Tony, I want to say all the best. I have your back. And one last thing, your suit very nice.
Thank you very much, guys. See you soon.
Thank you.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you for watching today's episode. We have learned a few powerful knowledge today. First of all, what are some of these digital innovations that's changing the world of fashion and tailoring? How do we dress well to stand out in virtual meetings? And we know for sure the suit is here to stay. And what is it like to be an entrepreneur in the world of tailoring? If you find these episodes meaningful and useful, please make sure that you subscribe and give us a like so that we can continue to provide you with more information. Look forward to my next podcast, and I hope to see you soon.